So hi, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Yay. I heard that the theme was spicy, and I was like, ooh, exciting, spicy. What can I do with that? Like, all right, let me think about it. And I was like, writing, publishing. No, not so spicy, guys. Writing is basically sitting at a desk by yourself, making stuff up in your head, or taking research and trying to make it coherent, or like maybe, if it's a really exciting day, flipping through the thesaurus for that perfect word, right? You're like, ooh. Or maybe you get to procrastinate and like play a really good game of Candy Crush, or like vacuum, stare out the window for a little bit. It's very exciting. So unless you're like researching BDSM or you're making a cookbook about world flavors, not the spiciest topic. Thank you, Jenna. So yeah, I was like, all right, what am I going to do here? I have to think about something else, or think about this in a different way. And my husband is from Minnesota. And we always joke about how the state spice of Minnesota is cream of mushroom soup. And thank you. So I moved in like 2003, 2004. I moved from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I went from a land where you can go to the McDonald's and they put green chili on your burger to the place where they were like, you got salt, what else do you need, So it was a big adjustment for me. Is anybody else here from Minnesota, lived in Minnesota? I got a couple of hands, so Those crazy, crazy kids, they call casserole hot dish, first of all. They also pronounce a town that is clearly named after Prague, New Prague. This is something I have many issues with. But so they make hot dish. It is like the thing people bring to all the gatherings. And as far as I can tell, you cannot make a hot dish without cream of mushroom soup. It's like the ingredient. It doesn't matter what you put in there. It's hamburger, it's rice, it's tater tots. It better have cream of mushroom soup, right? My husband even invented his own hot dish. It's called chicken bacon sweater, which is a whole nother story that I'm not going to tell you right now. And it has jalapenos, and it has hot sauce, and it has cream of mushroom soup, okay? So it's a legitimate hot dish. So anyway, I started thinking about this, and I was like, all right, what is the cream of mushroom soup of what I do, like with writing and with publishing? And I was like, okay, it's actually the thing I love the most, the thing I love to do the most, the thing I love to talk about the most. So this worked out really well for me, right? It's building community. It's creating relationships. It's sustaining a long-term involvement with the creative world and the professional world. So I was like, sweet, I can talk about that for 15 to 20 minutes, no problem. So that is what I want to talk to you more about today. And I know it's like one of those things it's not sexy, it's not fast. People come to me and they're like, what can I do? I want to level up my career as an author. I want to like break into something new. And like, how do I do it? Give me the, top 3, bang, bang, bang. And I'm like, I can give you some things, but if you don't build the groundwork, it's not going to happen, right? You have to mix the cream of mushroom soup into the big vat of beef and rice and put the tater tots on there so that you can actually, get to the next phase. And I feel that, I get that, and we all love, like I said in the description, we love the hot takes, we love the spicy, like the quick, give me a quick, reel or a TikTok dance or whatever. Love, love, love it. But the thing that actually makes it all work is the cream of mushroom soup, if you will. Thank you for sticking with me on this crazy idea that I had. So I'm gonna go, well, first I'll say, okay, so this involves a lot of time, obviously, and nobody wants to think about other things that are going to take lots of periods of your time. But one of my favorite movies is When Harry Met Sally. Anybody else? Yes, yes, yes. And it takes those crazy kids decades and multiple meetings to figure out that they're actually made for each other, or MFEO, to quote another Meg Ryan movie, at you. And that's kind of what we're doing in this work, right? We're getting together, maybe we meet at Creative Mornings, and then we have a chit chat, and we're like, this is great, and then we don't talk again for 3 years, and then we run into each other somewhere else, and then, then we're like, oh, that same connection, it's there, and then, whatever else happens after that, it takes time. But it's so lovely and so fun, at least I'm an extrovert, so I know most of the people I work with are introverts, and I know that this is a lot more difficult for y'all, my introverts in here. But man, so good, so good. So anyway, I'm gonna go back a little bit on my background. I am a writer. I've been a writer all my life. I went to college and studied the incredibly lucrative field of creative writing. And then I went on to work in bookstores and literary nonprofits and publishing for all of my adult life. I got an MFA along the way as well, because some people never learn. And and I know that you're looking at me and you're thinking like, well, all of your life isn't very long. Obviously, you're not even 30 yet, Lauren. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. So much. But when I started, ebooks did not exist. Facebook did not exist. I mean, the beginnings of social, we had MySpace, my MySpace generation. We're in here, right? Yes, So, it's been a while. A lot of things have changed. But I've learned a lot. And so I moved to Asheville in 2007 with my now husband, and from Minnesota. We left the bland and the cold behind, thank you. And and I freelanced for a little while, and then I went to our delightful local indie bookstore, Malaprops. Tomorrow is Independent Bookstore Day, everybody. Go visit, celebrate. And I was like, would you please, for the love of God, hire me? I am dying sitting in my house by myself all day. Just looking at a computer screen. And my husband was working, and he would come home and he'd be like, I met this person and I have this cool story. And I would be like, I saw this bird out the window. And and I love birds. I think birds are amazing, but it's like there's only so much conversation you can get out of that, So I went to Malaprops, I begged them, they were like, okay, I guess, you can come in. They were actually lovely. They were like, great, yes, please. And I found my place, and I was like meeting authors, and I was hosting events, which is why I can do this without barfing right now. I had to introduce a lot of authors over the years. I got to go to conferences where they handed you piles of books and talked about building community and responding to community, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I also met the other most important adult relationship human in my life, and that is my platonic life partner, Carolyn Christopoulos. Yes, many of you know her. She is amazing. And I learned how bookstores work. I learned what makes events good. I learned how to deal with events where 0 people show up or 2 people show up or whatever. I can't even tell you how valuable that experience continues to be to me. Learned to deal with a lot of situations, and that was an incredible experience. But one of the authors that I met while I was there, this little local author at the time, Alan Gratz. Now, if any of you have middle schoolers or you have had middle schoolers in recent times, you may have heard this name. He is New York Times bestselling author Alan Gratz. He is on the Battle of the Books lists in states all across the world. I mean, I guess the US, but elsewhere too, probably. So he's this big deal. At the time, he was writing great books. He was doing amazing things, but he was far less well known. He was spending his own money to send himself on book tour. He was spending his own money to go to teacher and librarian conferences and meet the people who were actually putting his books in the hands of kids. He was networking, which we all hate, right? That's the worst, one of the worst words, and nobody wants to do it, but he was doing it. He was putting it in. And so when I decided to leave Malaprops and Carolyn and I decided to create Gold Leaf Literary, the first person who came to us was Alan, and he was like, I need some help. I got all this admin stuff that's like keeping me away from writing. It's a drag. Can you guys help me out? We're like, yes, you're amazing. You're such a good dude. You're putting in the work, the writing work and the other work. We want to work with you. Still that person. A couple years later, he was like, I've got this book. And we were like, okay, this might be the one. It's timely. It's deeply connected to multiple cultures and time periods in this theme. The book was called Refugee. It was 2018. The Syrian refugee crisis was at the height of its, time in our media. Not that it's not still going on, but anyway, we were like, okay, this is happening. So we helped him put together the plan to roll out the book into the world. That book hit the New York Times bestseller list and has rarely left since then. Now, we threw a little spice on top of that little meal, but Alan had been making that meal for 10 years. He had been liberally applying the cream of mushroom soup for a decade in order for that to happen. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. He's amazing. So anyway, coming back, rolling back to the theme, what I'm saying is like, this is kind of an endurance sport. Looking at the cream of mushroom soup as the spice that you most need to pull out of the cabinet, right? I'm a huge Olympics fan. I don't really follow sports ball very much, but I do love the Olympics. I love the drama. I love the opening ceremonies. I love the internationalism, like all of it so much. Anybody else, Olympics people? Yes, thank you. So great. And when I think about the Olympics, especially the Summer Olympics, I often think about running. And what do you think about when you think about Olympic running? Usain Bolt, right? Drama, it's sexy, it's fast. It's like done in seconds, 9.63 seconds to be exact. It's so exciting. But are the sprinters the only runners there? No. They're the marathoners, guys. We don't watch them because it's supremely boring. And I'm really sorry for any marathon runners out there. It's very exciting for you, and we are all thrilled by your endurance, but it is terrible to watch on TV. But that is an incredible feat as well. That is still, you are still going for Olympic gold. It's just taking hours instead of seconds. And that is what I think about when I think about looking at the cream of mushroom soup method, if you will. It's that you're looking at the long game. You're looking at sustaining a career. You're looking at where you're going to be in 10 years. And that might be dancing on TikTok, which is totally fine. I support that. I love spice, guys. Throw it in there. If you want to Jack Black it up all over the internet, go for it. But the stuff that really keeps it going is a little blander. It's a little creamier. It's a little cream of mushroom soup. So sort of another anecdote, another author that I met when I was at Malaprops is a writer named Katie Schultz. Incredible writer, teacher, mentor, yay! If you know her, yeah, she's just such a great person. And we, would meet up, chat at the bookstore, whatever, over many years. And she invited me, after a few years of knowing her, to a new residency she had established at the Aeromont School of Arts and Crafts over in Gatlinburg. They always have had this crew of artists of different genres who come there and gather and make art for like a week, and she was the first person to bring writers into the crew. And she invited me, and I was like blown away, so excited. I had just finished my MFA. I didn't really know what I was doing creatively. Gold Leaf was a baby business. It was like less than a year old. So I was like, okay, I'll use this time to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And it was great. I mean, being surrounded by that much creativity, that many other people doing the thing that we all do, right? And like everybody's like actually in the act of doing it, it was great. And I made connections, I made relationships with artists and with other writers that I still have to this day. And I was so grateful for that. And then, so Katie and I continued to meet up. We really respect each other's work. We're both very good about talking about the sort of idea of literary citizenship, of raising up other people, of trying to give back and keep the community together. So we're like a lot of mutual respect there. So we meet up. Sometimes we have coffee, we talk about our kids, we talk about writing, we talk about the world around us, and it's great. So this last fall, we had coffee, we were like walking around Montford, we passed, a couple of bears, hey bears, and as you do in Montford these days. And Katie asked me if I would want to take over coordinating that residency. And I was like, well, it was like being proposed to. Like a good one, and I was like it did not take long for the word yes to just erupt out of my mouth, and I didn't actually kiss her, but I totally could have. And yeah, I was like, wow, what a gift you have just handed me. So I get to go back and do this thing and bring other people into it, like amazing. But I also know that the gift that she handed me did not come from a one-off. It didn't come from a couple seconds of self-promotion or something I threw out into the world thoughtlessly. This came from building and sustaining a relationship and a community over time. And so that's what I hope. I mean, I'm guessing that all of you that are here are probably doing this already, and the people that I know in this audience, I know are already doing it. But just as a reminder, the other piece about the cream of mushroom soup method, if you will, to stick with me in my crazy metaphor that I came up with, is that we do have those dark days, and we do have those times where we feel lost, like Anya was talking about, where we feel scared, where we're like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I even here? And when you have your community and you have your relationships and you have mixed in the cream of mushroom soup, you have somebody you can call or text or email or have coffee with, and they can remind you of the value of the work that you do, the value of you as a person, what you are putting out there that, like, to people that maybe even you never meet. And that's so desperately important. And you get that, and then you get to give that back to somebody else, or to the same person when they need it. And I just can't think of a spice that is more valuable in the cooking that we're doing than that. So, thank you all so much.
Lauren Harr, give it up, give it up. First of all, you did set the record for saying cream of mushroom the most times out of any guest we've ever had.
Well, that was the whole point, George.
Yeah, oh yeah. just to get in the books.
Where's the Guinness record, people?
We'd like to open up to a Q&A.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Lauren?
Yeah. What is your advice about starting to build those connections with strangers?
With
what is your
strangers.
advice? Sorry, what is your advice on starting to build those connections with strangers?
Ooh, you ready? This is some Brene Brown level stuff right here. You're gonna have to get vulnerable. So, yeah, that's it. That's striking up a conversation with somebody who's here that you've not met before. Maybe they have your favorite spice on their name tag, and just being like, hey, I also love cardamom. We should talk. We should be friends. That's a great spice. Like,
Look at
I love it. I believe that the lady behind you might as well. Yes.
Oh my God, the Cardamom Club.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. All right, cardamoms, raise your hand. Yeah. See, there's like a whole crew already waiting for you. I mean, being here, the true thing is that being here, like showing up to something like this, a community event, is the first step. And then you just like, you take some baby steps. If you were, if you're somebody who's a writer, go into Malaprops, look at the books, look at the staff picks, talk to the booksellers about what they like, get to know them. If you're a music person, do that here. Talk to the folks at Citizen Vinyl, come to the shows, like, chat and just be like, that was an amazing show. Thank you so much for bringing Anya, to Citizen Vinyl. It's just like little bits. If you're on social media, share other people's work that you're excited about. That's a huge piece of it, It doesn't have to be all about you. That's the scariest thing, right, is to like put yourself out there. Make it about other people. Share what they're doing. And then that is like a huge gift to them and becomes a huge gift to you, when the time comes. Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. Anyone else?
You were saying you know a lot about making book events go well.
Yes.
I'm sure you have a million things, but what's like one or two sort of like great pointers for?
Yeah.
One or two great pointers for putting on a successful book event.
Yeah.
Sounds like a competitor.
I know, right?
No, I'm kidding. But
you can't steal my cream of mushroom soup recipe. Just kidding. You can totally have it. Here you go. Make it about more than just you and more than just the book. That's my number one thing. So I love events that are conversation partners. Bring in somebody else if you are writing. So one of the things we did with Alan with Refugee when that book came out was we put him on tour to North Carolina bookstores, and we called refugee organizations in every city that he went to, and we said, hey, there's this book coming, this author is coming, would you want to come and talk about the work that you are doing to this audience, and bring that together? It makes everything feel so much better. And then also, he's a middle-aged white dude writing about refugees, so like it also, and he recognized that, and so it gave more of the story and more of the experience over to the people who are actually engaged in the thing. So that is like my number one idea.
cool. Anyone else? In the back? Where can we read your writing?
Hi. That's really vulnerable for me. I actually just had a piece of, so I write kind of everything, mostly fiction, but some flash and creative nonfiction and poetry and stuff like that. I just had a piece published in an online magazine called Vast Chasm. Let the vagina jokes begin. But it was a wonderful experience. Vast Chasm magazine. And they paid me money. For the first time, my creative work earned me money. So yes, that's my most recent piece. I've had a few things over. If you read the Malaprops calendar, anytime between the years of, let's see, 2009 and 2014, maybe, that was me, guys.
I'm sure they're archived somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So just so in case anybody didn't hear,
Yeah.
like the learning experience from having 1 to 2 people show up to an event, and I'm an improv, so I get it.
The thing that it taught me is that we don't have to stay in the box. So, like you set up an author event and it looks like this, right? There's like, you have the person, you have the audience, they're supposed to talk and read and whatever. If you have 1 to 2 people show up, you can make a little circle of chairs. You can have a little intimate gathering. You can talk about other things beyond the book. You can, you can just do Q&A. There's so many other things that you can do. You can start inviting random strangers from the rest of the store or the street out front to come on in and join. There are just a lot more options than we give ourselves sometimes. It's so easy to be like, this is the way it has to be, and now we're all just going to stand here awkwardly and wait till it's over. But you don't have to do that. You can be creative. Yeah. Get spicy. TM.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank
really
you. Thank
appreciate
you
it.
all
Give me
so
a hand
much.
with Lauren Harr.